Hi, this is Jon Fleischman, publisher of FlashReport.org. We had an opportunity yesterday to sit down with Texas Governor Rick Perry for a brief interview in Orange County, California. And so without any further introduction, here's that interview. Governor Perry, thank you very much for once again sitting down with us at FlashReport.org. As you know, we are a website on California politics. Our byline should be that we chronicle the burning of Rome from the suburbs, because that's kind of how it feels sometimes. And you're obviously here in California on what has become a very high-profile trip. I guess before we get into the meat and potatoes of your visit here, last night the President gave his State of the Union address, speaking on my behalf as a Perry for President supporter, but on behalf of all conservatives, we certainly lament that you weren't the one giving that speech. What do you think of it?
Well, it was could have been cut down substantially in length, and his message was, here's what government can do for you. And it was a long laundry list of spending, of increased taxation and increased wages that our government would force upon the business men and women. It just, again, no surprises, but shocking that this president really believes that the future of the country is epicentered in Washington, D.C.
Right, so a very different speech than President Perry would have given.
Indeed.
Absolutely. All right, so you're here in California to attract some businesses to the Lone Star State. How many days are you here in California?
About 72 hours total, but this is not a new phenomenon. I mean, we've been coming out here for about 5 years talking to businesses. And actually, this is a two-pronged visit. One is, we want to talk to people about what's happening in Texas, the opportunities that are there for businesses, whether they're large, small, or medium-sized. That taxation, regulations that are strangling business opportunities in California, they're not in Texas, and that if you truly believe in freedom from overtaxation, freedom from overregulation, there's still a land of opportunity in America. It's called Texas. The second prong of that is competition between states is good. It's uncomfortable. I mean, when governors or business groups come into Texas to sway our businesses to move to their state, it's uncomfortable. But the fact is, that's how you get stronger. Competition's good. So we have to go back into Austin during our legislative session, talk about how do we make Texas more competitive, how do we reduce the tax burden, the regulatory burden, can we tweak our legal system to make Texas even more competitive. Like we did in 2011, we passed loser pay. In the State of the State address that I gave a couple of weeks ago, I called for reducing the tax burden, giving tax relief to Texans. Bobby Jindal talked about reducing the income tax in Louisiana. Governor Heineman in Nebraska talked about reducing the tax load. Those are very much counter to what you see in the State of the State. We're going to spend more of your money, we're going to tax you more, and we're going to give you more government.
Right.
Very different messages. And Californians, this is a great state.
Wow.
This state needs to flourish and to grow and to be the lead dog again, if you will. And it can, but it can't make that progress if you continue to spend at the level that you're spending. You tend to raise taxes because you're at a tipping point now. Businesses are looking around and saying, we no longer can afford to expand here, and we're even going to consider relocating.
Well, it's kind of interesting because obviously you're kind of deadly serious about this and what you're doing, and our governor's, I mean, he made an offhand comment about your visit here being kind of like adding gas. I mean, literally, and I suspect it's going to take some, as your efforts bear fruit, maybe up in Sacramento they'll take it seriously. There really is kind of a fiddling while Rome burns-esque kind of quality to what's going on in Sacramento. Have you been well received by some of the companies that you've seen on your trip?
Absolutely. Listen, nobody likes to see, and we're not attacking California. We're just talking about the obvious here.
Promoting your own state.
And we're promoting Texas, and to try to, diss Texas or to, push this off as, it's no big deal, he's not going to get any businesses. I would suggest that's the wrong attitude. When we take it very serious about how we keep our businesses creating jobs in Texas, and we've led the nation in job creation over the last 5 years. While California has lost 640,000 jobs, we gained almost 350,000 jobs. California has not been not been below the national unemployment level since 1990. April of 1990, California's had an unemployment rate above the national level for almost 23 years.
Yeah.
Texas is 6.1 today, California is 9.8.
As you meet with some of these companies, are you starting to hear, I don't know if horror story is too graphic of a phrase, but are they sharing with you some of their challenges about the burdens here?
Yeah, well, it's pretty obvious. I mean, when you raise the income tax, personal income tax rate to the level that they did, now 13.3%, when you raise your sales tax, this isn't just about taxing the rich, which may sound good at an ad, but the fact is, when you raise that sales tax, you hit everyone. When you tax a business that was planning on expanding, and now they can't expand and they can't hire you because government in Sacramento doesn't have the courage to say, you know what, our government's gotten too big, it's bloated, we've got to cut back. That's a conversation that it's really absorbing to people now in the state. And they're saying, you know what, we're going to look at Texas. We're going to look to expand there because for a decade they have not raised their taxes. They have not. They have put a regulatory climate in that's fair and predictable, a legal system that doesn't allow for oversuing. It is a place where we could go to be free from these burdensome regulations and taxes. That's the story that's out there. I hope that Sacramento and enough of the legislators will look around and go, you know what, we have been really burdensome for our businesses and we've got to make some changes. If that's the case, that's good for California, it's good for America, and actually it's good for Texas. We may not get the businesses that move there, but we will continue to be competitive.
Well, I guess to close up this interview, if somebody's a business owner and they'd like to look at moving to Texas and they want to get hold of you, how do they do that?
But one of the best ways is to go to TexasWideOpenForBusiness.com or go to the Governor of Texas website. There's a couple of links there where they can find all the information they need for contact and or relocation purposes.
All right. Well, thank you very much for spending time with us. And I've kind of got mixed opinions about how well I want you to do on this trip, but I hope that...
Competition's a good thing.
I hope that in the end, the pressure that you are putting on this state to be competitive has the result that is best for everybody.
Good.
So thank you very much.